Tonight, while many welcome the recent rain, one northern Saskatchewan community is looking for a break. Also, how streaming local hockey has changed the game. Plus, a Saskatchewan veteran who stormed Juno Beach 80 years ago receives a proper memorial.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Tuesday, May 21st, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thank you for watching. Many farmers and gardeners are welcoming the rain that we saw over the May long weekend. But as Pratush Dayal reports, it's actually causing more harm than good for one community in northeastern Saskatchewan.
Muddy roads, take me home.
Teachers in Cumberland House singing about muddy roads instead of country roads.
West of the park.
Laura Shaboyer is an educational assistant who came up with the new lyrics.
Take me home.
Cumberland House is not far from the Manitoba border, in between Flin Flon and Hudson Bay. Shaboyer has lived in the northeast Saskatchewan community her entire life. She says Highway 123 has always been an issue. It's a road they need to get food, fuel and mail. All the recent rain has cut it off access to the rest of the province.
My husband is the grocery manager at the store, so they're restricted on bringing in necessities for the community. Like we're out of bread now in the stores, and they don't anticipate a delivery this week either because it's been raining so much.
Her granddaughter agrees, and she's very worried about elders in the community who can't leave their homes alone.
Some of us have to get food for them, we have to get water for them, and now that there's no food or water, we are concerned about their health and their safety. Like with the ambulances, they aren't even leaving the town. They're only taking people out by flight.
The road closure also poses a problem for people grieving. The community has also had 3 deaths during the access disruption.
A family is mourning the loss of their son, and, people may not be able to come to pay respects, and they haven't even transported a body yet. That's sad. That's sad.
The Ministry of Highways says it will work with the trucking companies to ensure food and other supplies can reach Cumberland House. It also plans to invest more than $3 million to fix Highway 123. It will involve rebuilding about 4 kilometers of road with gravel. Construction is not scheduled to begin until later this year. Pratish Dayal, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Saskatchewan's police watchdog is investigating after police shot and killed a man in Regina over the long weekend. Alexander Kwan has the details.
It took 48 hours, but investigators have now confirmed that Regina police shot and killed a man over the May long weekend. It all happened here on Sunday afternoon in the 1100 block of Gary Street. In the days leading up to the shooting, police were notified that a man was damaging his neighbor's property. On Sunday afternoon, police arrived and attempted to talk to the 65-year-old man. Comments from that man caused police to call in their SWAT team. They also asked permission from a judge to enter the building. Neighbors told CBC News that heavily armed police then blocked off the street. And at approximately 3:35, a confrontation occurred outside the home between the 65-year-old man and police. Here's what we know happened next. A marked police vehicle was shot at several times, and 2 police officers fired in response, hitting the man. That man was declared dead at the scene a few minutes later. The province's Serious Incident Response Team, or CERT, has been called in to investigate. The civilian-led team has seized a loaded handgun that does not belong to police. CERT will examine the conduct of Regina police, including what led to the man's death. Regina police will be responsible for any investigation into the original incident. As for why it took so long for anyone to be notified that police had killed someone, Regina police and CERT have declined to comment. They are also not providing any more information until their investigations are complete. CERT has asked anyone who witnessed the incident or recorded video of the incident to get in touch with their investigators. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
One man is in hospital and another facing charges after an assault with a baseball bat in Saskatoon. It happened on the 1000 block of Idlewild Drive North shortly after 5 a.m. on Monday. When police arrived, they found one man with a bat and another man bleeding. Police say the man with the bat threw it at officers before taking off, but they did catch up with him. The 30-year-old is facing charges of aggravated assault and assaulting a police officer, among other things. The 61-year-old victim was taken to hospital with serious injuries, but is expected to survive. A worker at a potash mine east of Regina has died on the job. Nutrien confirmed it happened Sunday at the Rocanville mine's railcar loading facility. Operations are on temporary pause there. Nutrien says it's cooperating as the Ministry of Labor Relations and Workplace Safety investigates. It's also doing its own internal review of the incident. For years, 44-year-old Ivan Isaac struggled silently with his mental health. After spending his childhood in residential schools, he went down a path of self-destruction in his 20s, but now he's healing himself through his culture. He shared his story with our Darla Ponis.
Ivan Isaac grew up on Ochapowace First Nation. For years, he struggled with his mental health issues and loss of identity. Decades later, he realized his path to healing could be found in his culture. That culture became his therapy. Isaac says learning to dance powwow has helped him to heal from the trauma he suffered as a child.
The residential school really, I didn't realize how much it affected me, you know. I just thought I hated being an Indian. I thought I didn't realize that the schools, I'd been to 3 of them, sucked that Indian right out of me.
Isaac spent 10 years of his childhood in 3 different residential schools. He was in the last graduating class at Lebret Indian Residential School in 1998. The same year, the school permanently closed its doors. He says he suffered all kinds of abuse. Those experiences led him into depression, and he began to use alcohol to self-medicate and cope. But after losing many friends to addiction, Isaac was determined to go down the red road, a path of sobriety. In his late 30s, he decided to go to the First Nations University to pursue a career in education. There he learned even more about the residential schools. But when he started a teaching practicum, the feelings he thought he had suppressed came flooding back.
I had to push through that, right, and keep a smile on my face and teach through the day and come home and cry my eyes out, and do it the next day. But it was healing, because if I didn't go through that, I'm thinking I would still carry that.
Now when Isaac feels the grief of what he went through, he turns to ceremonies to help. His ceremonial family supports him and helps him to stay strong.
So I really try to stick to the culture because it's helping me find my way.
Isaac has been dancing powwow for 1.5 years now. He makes regalia pieces and gifts them to other dancers who are just starting out. He says it gives him a good feeling to be able to help others. All of these healing practices have helped Isaac to feel proud of his Cree heritage, and he plans to continue learning more about his cultural ways and sharing what he's learned with others. Darla Ponis, CBC News, Regina.
A special reunion in Saskatoon today for a woman and the paramedics who saved her life.
Someone in my situation, though, to be as close as you were.
Right, we were 1 block away, I'm pretty sure,
yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, pretty amazing.
On the morning of April 15th, Nicole Craig went into cardiac arrest in Saskatoon. It was Matt McGurk and Mitch Sparrow who arrived after the 911 call. They shocked her twice, revived her, and took Craig to the hospital where she would have emergency heart surgery. Today, the 45-year-old took the chance to thank them publicly.
The careers that these individuals have chosen may be called paramedics. However, I have a different name for Matt and Mitch. They're my guardian angels. There are no words that I can say that would fully express my gratitude to them. I stand here with the utmost sincerity in saying thank you. and showing my appreciation and my acknowledgement for the impact you've now had on my life.
This means so much. Like, this is the first time in 20 years I've been able to meet somebody that we've had a successful outcome from. Usually we hear how they did, but don't really know their end kind of outcome. So it is amazing to be able to see someone and to meet someone that you truly made a difference in their life. So thank you for that.
Craig sought out her paramedics 2 weeks after she got out of the hospital. The event also today kicked off Paramedic Services Week, a way to acknowledge these first responders for all that they do. Craig says she wanted to share her story to highlight the importance of people knowing CPR, because she says those skills, along with the defibrillator, saved her life. Streaming services at local ice rinks started as a way to watch your kids and relatives play hockey from afar. It was a nice addition, especially when COVID-19 restrictions were in place. And while many people still use it for that purpose, things have changed. And as Dane Patterson reports, the video has become a way to police safety and gameplay.
Even in an empty arena, there's always someone or something watching. Cameras like this one are in most, if not all, of the rinks in Saskatoon. You also find them in other local rinks across Canada and the United States.
You know, right from the start, when you have a couple kids in hockey and you end up in not just different rinks, but different cities all the time, just from the family dynamic, it's been an absolute game changer.
And league officials say that's how it was meant to work.
It's now evolved, you know, to the discipline side of the game.
Kelly McClintock says some weeks Hockey Saskatchewan gets up to 20 submissions. Those submissions include complaints about safety, penalties, and the severity of suspensions. Some have ensured the right call was made.
Well, I think it just confirms who the individual was, what they did, you know, because in the past it would be one person's, you know, word against another, or, you know, somebody always wants to maybe question what the official's report was.
And some have circulated around the local hockey community. It's also led to more accountability for coaches. While Sven Bjornsson says he's in favor of it, some coaches have been reprimanded for being too aggressive with their players, even during practices.
Let's make sure this is in a positive manner, because there's a grandma and a grandpa watching somewhere, there's a mom watching or a dad watching somewhere, and you know, it doesn't take much to rub a parent or a grandparent the wrong way when you speak to their child.
Streaming has also given amateur players a video aspect to their training, and while the quality isn't up to more elite standards, it can be useful.
Just teaching kids, it's a lot of visual learners out there, and you can draw it up on a whiteboard, but when they actually can see what they're doing right or doing wrong, it's been a great tool that way.
One hockey coach CBC spoke with questioned if the cameras could be a privacy issue. Saskatchewan's Information and Privacy Commissioner says it could be, but it's unclear if it's a privacy breach. McClintock says because it's in a public place, he doesn't see it as a privacy issue. Dane Patterson, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Birders in Regina were treated to a rare sighting over the long weekend. A scarlet tanager was in A.E. Wilson Park on Saturday and Sunday. The bright red birds tend to stay in eastern Canada. Many people tell CBC that they waited hours before spotting the scarlet beauty on some of the branches, and those trees certainly have sprouted some lovely green foliage too, thanks to the weather of late. Ethan will have your forecast after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Next month, on June 6th, will mark 80 years since D-Day in Normandy. Ahead of that anniversary, a Saskatchewan veteran who stormed Juno Beach is finally getting a proper memorial. Bonnie Allen reports.
It's been more than half a century since their uncle was buried in the cemetery, and now they're touched by efforts to give Rifleman Denis Daniel a permanent military headstone.
He's very, very special to me.
To know that one of our Regina riflemen has been found and is now properly marked here in this field of honor, it is a great honor to the regiment.
The young soldier from Val-Marie landed on Juno Beach on D-Day, where he was wounded. He served out the war as military police, then returned home to Saskatchewan. His family doesn't know why he was buried with only a wooden cross when he died in 1968 at the age of 51. Retired Major Brad Regina volunteers his time to make sure veterans get a proper grave marker. When he first visited this Field of Honor in Swift Current, he discovered 22 unmarked or temporarily marked graves, including 4 he can't find any information on.
This is with the Last Post Fund and their Unmarked Graves program, where we go out and find the temporary markers and then research them to ensure that the veteran gets a proper, dignified, permanent headstone.
Danielle's is the first to be replaced with a permanent military headstone, and his family was invited for a proper salute.
His regimental number was there, his regiment was there. His name was misspelled, but I was able to discover that. So it fell together quite quickly.
It means very, very much to me, and all of this is just absolutely wonderful. I just have no words to describe.
There is some urgency to this work. The crosses deteriorate and must be replaced before they disappear. The Last Post Fund covers the cost of new grave markers. Bonnie Allen, CBC News, Swift Current.
This weather update is brought to you by Crestview Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, proud member of the Capital Automotive Group.
And our weather specialist Ethan Williams joins me now. An active afternoon of weather.
Yeah, we've got pretty much anything that you can think of weather-wise happening in our province this last 24 hours, this next 24 hours, and part of that has been some funnel cloud sightings. I want to thank Matt Nelson for letting us use this photo that he took a little bit earlier today, just west of Rocanville. This was this morning around 10:45, and there was a funnel cloud advisory in effect for that area of the province, and still is right now for including Regina and Saskatoon and a good chunk of south and central Saskatchewan. Important to note that this is not the same as a tornado watch, because these funnel clouds and potentially weak tornadoes that form out of these are not coming from the supercell thunderstorms that we get a little later in the spring and into the summer. So if anything does touch down, it likely won't cause much damage, but something we do need to keep our eye on as we head through the evening. It's this area of low pressure that is kind of causing that instability, and it is also bringing some showers through the Saskatoon area and a lot of cloud cover through south and central. The cold front associated with it also brought through some severe thunderstorms a little bit earlier this morning in east central parts of the province. Those have now moved into Manitoba. That whole system also keeping things pretty chilly today. Saskatoon, you actually didn't get above 10 degrees. You got to around 9, and that was it. And with temperatures dropping near freezing tonight, there is the risk of frost once again in the province. So I know we said wait till after the May long weekend to plant things, but you may want to wait another couple of days here if you haven't started already. That low is going to start dissipating overnight tonight. It'll bring some showers through parts of east central Saskatchewan. Things will start to clear, though, in south and central, but maybe a few snow flurries tonight in the north of the province, and that'll continue through the day tomorrow. Another chance of showers through south and central, and then a little bit more cloud cover building in again for Thursday as we see a repeat scenario with showers once again before things start to clear out a little bit more as we head into Friday. The north could see some showers and again maybe some flurries as we start the weekend. Rainfall amounts, you heard about Cumberland House earlier in our newscast, and I think you're only in for maybe another 5 to 10 millimeters there through the evening and part of the overnight hours, and the same goes for places like Hudson Bay and Nipawin and Tisdale, but by and large we should be through after tonight in terms of rain. But it could get a little bit foggy at times in south and central and even portions of the north overnight and into the early morning hours as we have all that excess moisture in the air. So keep in mind we'll likely be seeing patches of that from time to time. But with these systems moving through, we are catching some moisture, but we're not really catching the wind all that much, maybe gusting 30 to 40 at times, but nothing too strong. So the extended forecast for Regina showing us that we're looking at, some cloud and some showers possible tomorrow and then clearing out. But our temperatures really don't start rebounding until we get past the weekend. And that's when we get some more substantial sunshine as well. That's when those overnight lows pull themselves closer to double digits as well. Saskatoon, I think a little more cloud cover for you tomorrow. tomorrow. Another chance of showers Thursday. Friday comes that clearing, just in time for the wind to pick up a little bit on Saturday, Sunday, before you return to 20-degree weather on Monday, Tuesday next week. So a little unsettled for these next couple of days here, Sam, but the spring-like weather on its way.
And so is June, which is crazy.
Isn't that hard to believe? Yeah.
Thanks, Ethan.
Way. You bet.
Stay with us. We've got more news after the break. One person is dead and more than 24 others were injured after a Singapore Airlines flight hit severe turbulence over the Indian Ocean. The plane traveling from London to Singapore fell into an air pocket and hit rough air currents. A 73-year-old British man died and 31 people were taken to hospital. Airport officials say the man who died suffered from a heart condition and he likely died from a heart attack. Passengers say the aircraft dropped suddenly and objects and people were thrown around the cabin. The flight was forced to make an emergency landing in Bangkok. It was carrying 211 passengers and 18 crew members. Funeral commemorations began today for Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi. He was killed in a helicopter crash in northwestern Iran over the weekend. This was the scene in Tehran as the bodies of the president and Iran's foreign minister arrived in the country's capital. They were among the 8 people killed in a helicopter crash on Sunday. Iran is marking 5 official days of mourning for Raisi. The coffins were transported from Tabriz in the northwest, where earlier a large funeral procession had taken place through the city with thousands of mourners. One of Canada's most notorious serial killers is in hospital with serious injuries. Robert Pickton was attacked at a prison in Quebec on Sunday. Pickton was reportedly stabbed in the head by another inmate at the Port Cartier maximum security prison northeast of Quebec City. His injuries are said to be life-threatening. A suspect is in custody. In 2007, Pickton, who is now 74, was convicted of the second-degree murders of 6 women. He'd been charged with the murders of a total of 26 women. Some good news today on the inflation front. The latest data from Stats Canada shows the annual rate slowed to 2.7% in April. That is down from 2.9% in March. The numbers show cooling grocery prices offset higher fuel costs last month. And household furnishings, clothing, and footwear saw a decline year over year. Canada's annual rate of core inflation has eased for a 4th straight month, raising speculation the Bank of Canada could cut interest rates as early as June 5th. Is the weather cooling like the interest rates, Ethan?
Good one. Yes, we're looking for every type of, weather F word tonight. Fog, frost, near freezing in Regina. Mostly clear skies, though a little bit of cloud cover building in for tomorrow morning, and there could be a little lingering fog at 8 a.m. still with a temperature of 7 degrees. That burns off for the afternoon, but there is a chance of a shower come later in the afternoon. We should be around 13 degrees or so in Regina, normal for this year around 20. Saskatoon, pretty much identical here again, fog and frost possible once again. And in the morning, a little bit more cloud cover for you, though. We will watch, though, into the afternoon, things clouding over and some possible showers. A temperature forecast at 10 degrees, Sam, but there's the possibility Saskatoon may not break into double-digit territory again.
All right, another cool day. Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
And that is it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can always head to cbc.ca/Sask. You can subscribe to CBC Saskatchewan's YouTube channel or download the CBC News app on your phone or tablet. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night.